Welcome, everyone. This is Tracy Santos from Encore Business Solutions. And this afternoon, we're going to be listening to me presenting a little session on powering up with Power BI. So for those of you that may already be familiar with Power BI, this is going to be a quick overview about Power BI and a bit about the background and how we got to the stage we're at right now. I better go to the next slide. There we go. Okay, and I'm Tracy, for everyone that doesn't know me. So I'm going to start a little bit before this slide about Power BI. About 2 years ago, we had done a user group across Western Canada, and I was actually doing some dashboards in Power BI. So this was, Power BI 2 years ago, and how much it's changed. It's incredible. The difference in what you can do and how easy it is to do your data visualization today with Power BI as opposed to 2 years ago. I'm super excited about the future of Power BI as I've been able to see how difficult it was for me to go and create those dashboards in our user group 2 years ago, where at that time Power BI was really Power Query and Power Pivot embedded in Excel. So they've really improved the user experience. Another thing that I found really supportive and helpful from a Microsoft perspective is the amount of online resources. They have lots and lots of videos and YouTube tutorials that walk you through how to use Power BI. So when we talk about Power BI today, although I'm talking a little bit about Power BI and Dynamics GP, you can use any data source. So we're going to be touching on that a little bit. So again, as this slide says, it's basically a data visualization tool, very easy to use, and I can take an Excel spreadsheet and use that as my underlying data source. Or it could be, for example, if I wanted to compare how weather impacts my business or how traffic impacts my business, you can take those different components of data sources or sets and then reflect that on how it impacts your data and your business and how things are coming together. So we're going to go ahead and we'll proceed here. We know a little bit about what is Power BI there and the information from Microsoft. And it has been around since 2015. And components are offered in most Office 365 plans. So when we talk about that, we're going to kind of walk you through the different components and versions of Power BI so you can understand how that will play into how you'd like to deploy Power BI in your business. And again, it's very, very easy to use and allows people, if I'm publishing information, allows them to consume that information and then change the visualization so it makes sense to them. And you can have it in the cloud or on-premise. That's a question that a client had for me a few weeks ago, saying, we don't want to have our data up in the cloud, and we want to make sure that we're controlling that. And absolutely, your data can be on-premise. It doesn't have to be up in the cloud to be able to leverage Power BI. And again, it's fully integrated with all of the Microsoft products. So here's a little bit about the license and how that works. So the Power BI desktop is free. You can download that. And again, they're constantly updating it. So there's, as recent as a few weeks ago, there were some new improvements of that. So again, that kind of gives you a snapshot of what you get for free. And again, you can use that on your desktop. Then we want to be able to share and collaborate the pricing is there on a per user per month basis, and again you can try that out for free, see how that would work for you. And then we have also the Power BI Premium. So those different iterations of those licenses, if you need more information, we can help you and provide that information. Our contact information will be at the end of the session, and you'll be able to find out how you use that. Now, it is a component of Office 365, so again, if you've got those Office 365 licenses, you're going to get even more benefits than just purchasing the Power BI Pro separately or Power BI Premium. So again, lots of great benefits of having those Office 365 licenses. And if you need any information about Office 365, please reach out to our team. We'd be happy to have that conversation with you. So that Power BI desktop can go ahead and download. You could download that today. I don't know, most of you probably have been playing around with it so far anyways, and that's why you're on this webinar today. And again, there are some limitations, but again, you can explore that, and great to be able to try that out for free and then see if you do want to go on to the share and publish. And that's where that Power BI Pro comes into play, is that ability to have that. So that just a little bit of information there for you so you can understand the difference between Power BI Pro and Power BI Premium. Now we have, when we talk particularly about GP, we have lots of reporting tools in Dynamics GP. There's actually, I think, 7 reporting tools provided with GP, and now this is another extension of that, so there'll be 8 reporting tools. So we have in GP, you have Excel refreshable reports, you've got SmartList, you have Word templates, you've got the original report writer that came with GP, lots of different options. We can use Excel and connect to the data source and pull the information out of GP. So lots of tools that you're familiar with using. Also SQL reporting services. I was trying to remember what was that other one. SQL reporting services. So again, Power BI allows us to connect to GP as the data source and allows it for easier visualization. So sometimes we get clients, they'll say, oh, I really want to be able to do that in SmartList, and they love using SmartList, and we can do those ad hoc queries. So that's a tool you'd use for that. But I wouldn't use SmartList for my data visualizations, mainly because the data is static. Excel refreshable reports takes us a little bit further because we're leveraging Excel, and we can refresh the data, and we can make some dashboards in there as well. But the tool set is a bit limited as far as you can do your graphs and have all those components. And what Microsoft has done is taken that, evolved that, or made a revolution of Excel and developed Power BI. So it allows us to be able to, you don't have to know how to build a pivot table because it's already, all that hard work is already done for you, and so it makes it a lot easier. So something about the content packs, there's some, if you're logging into Dynamics GP right now, 2016, you'll see the ability to go and connect to your Power BI. And in 2018, there'll be some content packs. So if you're on Power BI Pro, you'd be able to have those content packs. We've also built content packs as well. I can't say that word very well. Content packs. Encore, we've built some, and they're available for purchase. So if you want to be able to use the free tool of Power BI Desktop and you'd like some the content packs, we've developed some of those, and I'll be showing the executive dashboard today as we work together through this presentation. Go on to the next slide. So typically this is the flow of the information. So again, we're going to bring the data into our desktop to create a report, and then you'll be able to publish that, share that with other people, available on their mobile device. So again, that whole mobile world and having access to information anytime, anywhere in the world you wish, you've got that ability. And you can also interact with that information as well. So before I go to the next slide, which is the end of our questions, which we've got to get to our presentation first, so we don't want to go to that part of it. I'm going to go in, I'm going to be showing you various forms. I've got my Power BI Desktop as well as Power BI Premium to show you. But I'm going to start at one of the Power BI dashboards or visualizations that we built that we were using internally, and I just want to give you a quick brief look at a spreadsheet. So here's a spreadsheet with columns of information. There's data in there, so we see that just using Excel. And then we're going to go in, and I'm going to bring up this is my Power BI Desktop, so you can see here it lets you know it's Power BI Desktop, and I am connected to that Excel spreadsheet. So if I look here, you'll see that those columns are those columns that we saw in that Excel spreadsheet. So I've taken that information. So when you looked at that spreadsheet, it wasn't very interesting, but I've taken that data and I've built this dashboard. So I'm able to look at that information, and it's a lot more meaningful, and I've got slicers in here. So we're using it internally, we want to say, great, we want to know what type of add-on product for GP that has to do with data management. So by putting those slicers in there, I can filter the data and it will be reflective of my information here. So this is a lot more meaningful, a lot more interesting than just looking at that Excel spreadsheet. I just wanted to show you an example of just looking at from an Excel spreadsheet. I made it a lot more interesting than how it just looked on that Excel file. And really easy to do. So we're going to be building something really easy together as well today. So now I'm going to go over so you can just see how what the other kind of presentation layer is. Now I'm on Power BI on the web. And you'll see that this looks a little bit different than when we were before, in the fact that when I'm working with this information, I don't have that ability to see the fields anymore. So now I'm a consumer of this information. I can work with the data a little bit, but I can't go and build something from scratch. That would be done on your Power BI desktop. And so here's I'm in my workplace, which I am logged into Office 365, and I've selected Power BI. So you can see here, if I go over to my home area of my Office 365, I have all these different components of Office 365, and I happen to be working in Power BI at the moment. So this particular dashboard that I created, again, was from an Excel spreadsheet in this case, and we're going to be looking at some Dynamics GP information in a moment. But I've got that ability. I can still work with this data, but I'm not building it from scratch, and I can't change my source data. So this would be more where I'm sharing this out for people to consume. And so this particular one, why I brought this one up was I had different components of data. So this is about vehicles, so selling vehicles. And I had put some different parameters on there. So this particular, I wanted to be able to say, well, what are my count by vehicle status? And then I also had by prospect description, my count of vehicle status. And then I wanted to have a list view where I saw the data not in a graphic, but it just listing it out. And then I had a line chart there. So again, as I hover over that information, it gives me a little bit more information. When you're working with Power BI, you can have as many pieces that you want to have on your dashboard. So again, typically you're looking at, you want it to be pleasing and consumable. So sometimes if you have too much information on one particular dashboard, it can be overwhelming. So that's something to keep in mind. And again, with Power BI, we can go ahead and open that up, and so that we can see that information a little bit more clearly and enlarge that information. And when I want to go back, I can just go back out of it. So again, I'm sharing this out with my team members. I created it, but now I'm publishing it and I'm sharing it out. Now they might have questions they want of the data. So again, you can click into here and say, ask your question. And again, if I hover over different areas, I can say, oh, I'd like to see the dealer sold vehicles by month. And what it's doing is taking a slice of the information I created on the dashboard, but lets me query and ask further questions. So depending on what year I wanted to look at, or maybe I wanted to look at how many trucks were sold in that particular, and then I've got another categorization of my OEM type. So again, you've got that ability to, even as I'm not the person who created the report, I'm the consumer of the report. Because it was published and shared out, I can ask my own type of questions of that data to get to the information that I need. So I exit out, and I'm right back at my dashboard. So we can go and see that information that we looked at on my Power BI desktop was my Encore presentation. So it's the same information that we were looking at earlier, but from that spreadsheet, I was able to repurpose that information here so it was more consumable. I'll click on, I've got a few different samples here just so you can see how this might look. And again, everyone is going to have a different format or perhaps an overarching theme for their business. And that's what's so great about it. It's so easy to use and flexible, and you can put your logos on here and make it consistent. So when you're building out your different dashboards and reports, you've got that ability to create that. And again, we have the ability to go ahead and open that up, as well as we've got the ability to go and say, I want to go and drill down a little bit further on that, or not. So we've got that open menu there. Be able to go drill down a little further. I'll show you another example on one of my other dashboards that I have. So again, in my workplace, I've got my dashboards. I also have my reports. So if I go back into here and go into here, when I'm at the report level, I'm able to go a little bit deeper into the analytics, whereas the dashboard is more static in what the items that I can change and manipulate and not. So I've got that report area, I've got my workbooks, and then I've got my data sets. So those are all the data sets that I have access to for building out reports and publishing out reports. There are also apps that you can link into. So there's different components or report types or ability to have different visualizations that you can purchase, and some of them are free, and you can download those to apply to the dashboard that you've created. So I'm going to go out of my Power BI Premium, and I'm going to go into my Power BI desktop for Dynamics GP that I've put on top of my Dynamics GP deployment, just so you can see how that would work. And we can go ahead and I'll walk you through this particular dashboard, and we can go and build out some dashboards ourselves. So I'm just going to minimize this and just show you Dynamics GP. So I've logged into Dynamics GP, and you can see that I've got Power BI right here on my desktop and looking at that. So when we go ahead and we can go and edit, change those details, you'll see that in Power BI we can have a variety of different reports available to us. And again, depending on what you have built, you have that ability to publish that. So what's really interesting here is I have the ability to publish information in Dynamics GP that actually has nothing to do with GP if I wanted to. So you can see here that I had that quorum sales. That was from a spreadsheet. It had nothing to do with GP. Yet I could publish that up on here. And also I could have information that comes from Excel or comes from the internet information. Maybe there's some statistics that I want to grab, and combine that with my Dynamics GP information and have that all available here for consumption. Now, when we're working in Dynamics GP, we've got the ability to consume those reports and dashboards right here within GP. But I would have the same ability to see those reports and dashboards outside of GP through my Power BI desktop. And that's what I'm in right now. I'm in Power BI desktop, and so you'll see that these visualizations and fields and filters have reappeared because we wouldn't have that in Power BI Premium or Power BI Pro. You don't have the ability to do that part of that building of those dashboards and reports. So let's go and we'll have a look at the basic components of this. And again, very comparable to most of the Microsoft products that you've used in the past. So again, I've got that ability, I've got File, Home, View. So again, I might have a report that I've already looked at, or a file that someone wants to share out with me, or I'm going to import something. So again, you've got that ability to import Excel, or maybe you're going to have, there's a Power BI template that you want to be able to import. And then also too, when I want to publish. So when I'm finished working on my report or my dashboard, I can go ahead and publish that to Power BI Premium and Power BI Pro so that I can share that out in my organization. So I'll go back off of here. So I just want to take you through some of the components here. So the report view, which is what I'm in right now, has 5 main areas. So there's the ribbon, which is this top part up here, which again, some components will look familiar to you from Excel when we use Power Query and Power Pivot. And then we've got the canvas, which is this area here that we're working in. So I'll actually go and we'll go into a blank page so you can see. So this is your canvas where all of your data visualizations will be created and arranged. And then we have our pages area. So you can see here that this particular workbook is comprised of many different dashboards. And you can go ahead and select a page, add them. You can duplicate them. So I made a duplicate of the sales tab itself. And then we have our visualization area or pane. This is where you can change the visualizations, customize the colors or axes, apply filters, drag fields, and more. So this is your main area that you're going to be working in as you build out your visualization. That's a hard word to say. Then we have our fields pane. So our fields are obviously where we're connecting to the data. So for example, in the Excel file, you'd see all the different columns listed here. This particular one, you can, for those of you that are familiar with Dynamics GP, you'll see here's some of the fields within the table for the customer master. And so that's where I'm able to pull those fields onto my report. So we're going to start back here. We'll start at the top, which is our executive dashboard. And it is basically using the information directly from Dynamics GP. So again, I can connect to my data source. So you can see here that I've got here, in this particular example, I've got 2 Fabricam companies or 2 test companies in my Dynamics GP deployment. And I can pick and choose, and I've just said, I know I'm just going to be using Fabricam Limited right now, so I've selected that. And you've also got that ability to choose which year of the data that you want to look at and which countries. So again, maybe I'm my sales-centric force, I want to be able to look at certain revenue from different areas of the globe, and I can look at that. So we've got many parts on here. So we had, again, these are more like highlights or fact boxes that give an executive a quick information. What's our revenue at? What's our cost at? A gross margin, etc. So get really bold up there, gives you that information really quickly. And then we've got the ability to see revenue and costs and gross margin by month. Now, if I want to pop that out, I can pop it out and be able to see that a little bit more clearly. And maybe I want to be able to drill down on that. So you've got the next, be able to go to the next level in the hierarchy. So when we think about our data, and we can think about hierarchies. So for example, if it was GL accounts and we've got categories, or if we've got customers and we have classes, or vendors and classes, or product groups, you're able to go and drill down to that next level in the hierarchy. And so it breaks that down. So currently right now this went in by day, our revenue and cost by day. So we've got our revenue, cost, and gross margin by day. Got that ability to drill down that further on that. We also have the ability to, there's more options here, is you can export the data or see the data. So again, perhaps somebody likes to see it more in a written format, a numerical format rather than a visual format. You've got that ability to do that as well. So again, it gives you lots of options, and you can see that by that simple one mouse click or touchpad, or if I'm on my phone, I could use the touchpad and be able to get to that information really quickly. So that usability is very much, has advanced significantly from the earlier versions of Power BI, and it gives you a lot more than you could get just simply using Excel. So we've got a variety of information that an executive would want to know. And again, we've tried to showcase the different visualizations. So you can see here over on this side, there are many, many, many types of visualizations. And again, we tried to kind of showcase the different ones here. So again, depending on how you want to see it, how easy it is for you to consume that information, it gives you that flexibility of showing you how that would come about. So we've got the ability, that block type visual as opposed to the blob visual. So again, depending on your business and the types of things that you would like to see. So this is our executive dashboard, and there's the components to break it down a little bit further. So for example, if I wanted to learn a little bit more about my sales business and where that is spread out, again, showcasing the different types of visuals. And I'm sorry, there's one component I haven't installed here, so one of my components of my dashboard is not showing up. When we are on something like this, again, we can make the different components connected or disconnected. That's entirely up to you. But when you are clicking on different items, you can highlight that and have the rest of the dashboard reflect on what you've selected. So again, I went and selected on that Cantata fax phone, and all of a sudden all the other components adjusted accordingly, and then I would click back on there so that I can see the information all together. But again, that's entirely up to you as you filter through and look at information. So again, the person who would be, you're publishing this out and sharing it, they're going to be able to have that same ability to interact with that data. So again, to just show you, if we break it down even further, that sales detail comes along as well. So now we went from a data visualization down to the ability where sometimes, myself being an accountant, I want to know what was the SOP number and who was the customer and what did we sell them and what was my gross margin. So again, very data rich and the ability to see exactly answer your questions. I want to know, great, what items are my customers buying and which are most profitable. We put some budgeting information in here as well, just to round it out from a finance perspective. We put in the accounts and the different budget amounts that we put in there. So again, you've got the ability to choose different account types and account categories to filter that down. So for example, if I only wanted to look at my cash accounts, I could see that. Good. Very easy to interact with the data. And this ability gives us this application gives us the ability to build out these dashboards specifically for different areas of the business. So although I know I could go into GP and quickly get to this data, it will not be as interactive as using a tool set such as this. So I'm really excited about it, and I love playing around with it. I'm not an expert by any means, but from what I have learned so far and how painful it was before to build out dashboards, I am super excited about this. Again, wanting to see more information from a different perspective, I've actually got the transaction detail here, and again, being able to query and filter that. And these are some of the filters that we built for this presentation, but again, you've got the ability to have many, many different types of filters and slicers, just like you're used to working in Excel. You can have it go as deep as you wish. I went and was looking at copying out the sales and just removing some of the components just to let you see it a little bit easier, so that we really jam-packed that other sales dashboard, and I was just going to show you that, again, less sometimes can be more, and when you're looking at that data. And when I'm looking at this information, maybe I'd like to see, what did I sell in a different format? I've got that ability to see that. Again, sharing out that information. So let's go and we will go and try and build out something really simple for ourselves. So when we're on this page, I want to also show you how to connect to your data, and we'll do that, and we'll open up a new page or a different workbook. So I'm on here, I'm on this particular new canvas, and I want to go and build something out. So for this particular canvas, I have the ability to go into any one of these different areas of Dynamics GP. So I'm connected earlier to my Dynamics GP database, knows how to get to the data, and I've got a variety of different components here. So when I'm in here, I can click on, I've got my sales, so I've got here a variety of different fields that come from my revenue area of the business, from sales or processing, and I'll go and do a GL1 as well just so you can see. But I would, for example, I might want to see the customer name, so I can go and drag that up, and this is how easy this is. If I just drag it there, it's there. Now that's not super interesting because it's just a list of customer names, but I'm going to go and grab the revenue. So I just scroll down here and they're all easy names, not table names. So I don't have to know what SOP 10010 is. I can just simply grab that revenue field. So I've got that now. Great, awesome, looks fantastic. But I'm a visual person. I'd like to look at it a little bit differently. So you can see that when I dropped it in, the default was dropping off to the table. So at that point, I can go and choose any one of these visualizations that I wish. And again, I can make that a bit bigger if I want to. Maybe I don't like that. Maybe I want it to be a bar chart. So again, you've got lots of flexibility, and even from within that, you can see here it says revenue by customer name. You can go ahead and change the title of that component. It's showing here that right now we have customer name and what's the legend. So again, you could go and drag a field over here for your legend if you want your legend to be different. And our value was our revenue, so that's that component. And we can go ahead and do some formatting based on color saturation, how maybe we want it to be green, red, etc. You can put those rules in there, so you can set kind of metrics based on your business. And then you've got your filters. So right now, I'm looking at all my customers. You have that same ability to do, oops, that's not what I want. You have that same ability to do all of that type of filtering like you did in Excel. So again, I can go, my filter type is going to be my top N, and I want to show, oh, there, top N. Top N. I'm going to go back to basic filtering because I think I want it to be basic filtering. Thank you. Not customers. Revenue, that's what I want. Oh, maybe it's not revenue. Oh, sure. I did this yesterday and now I've forgotten how to do it. Top N showed, there we go. So our top 10 customers there, I found it. And then we can go ahead and we would need to put our revenue in here so that it knows, and we can apply that filter. So now I was able to put the top N on that particular one, and again, you saw in here you've got different types of filtering that you can do. I chose top N, but you got advanced filtering and your basic filtering, so customers you want to look at. Now, let's say, for example, I wanted to look at all my customers. I didn't want to look at my top N. Maybe I'll do something else. I'm just thinking that go back to basic filtering, and we're going to select all. We have all our customers there again. You have that ability to create different filtering options, not by embedding it in there and saying your top N, but I have that ability if I go, and we'll go back up to our customer name, and if I drop that down here, and I go and say that that's going to be my filter. So again, now I've got the ability to filter it this way. Not that you would do this, but I'm just trying to show you that flexibility of if maybe it was a time frame, a month, you wanted to put your sales by month, you could have that any type of date slicer that you wanted over here, and you've got that ability. And I probably could do that as well here. We go and find one of our date filters. So we'll go here. And again, I'm going to go change that to a filtering, and it changes here. And now I've got that simple. Now this is, probably wouldn't do this, but to give you an idea of how easy it is to go and drag and drop, and you work with that information based on what you have here. So again, very easy and flexible to be able to build out your different reports and your different dashboards, and then go ahead and publish. So again, at that point, I could go and publish that out. So let's go ahead, and I'll just quickly show you if I was going to do a new dashboard or a new report. We'll go ahead and open this up, and again, it's going to give you lots of help. There's tutorials and forums and lots of videos. But first thing we're going to do here is, because we're going to do something new, and I want to say get data. go here. Oh, there we go. Get data. So at this point, I'm saying, great, what do I want to get data from? Well, if it's going to be my database, so my SQL database, my SQL Server, and I would go connect. And at that point, all you need is your server name. So very easy to get that if you go to your Visual Studio Manager and get your server name, and you would pop it in there. And then just so you know that you're going to choose a data connectivity mode. And so import, and then there's direct query, and they both have advantages and disadvantages. But import would mean I'm going to bring a subset of the data locally so that I can work with it. Direct query means I'm hitting the SQL database directly. So that's how easy it is to connect. That was because I wanted to go to SQL, but if it was Excel, you would just go and go out and look for your Excel file that you wanted to work with and connect to it. And then once you did that, all of a sudden, all of those fields would show up here. So really easy to get started. Let's close out of this one. That's where I've got some files that I need to work on later. But again, that really easy to connect to whatever data source that you might be planning to use. And there's some really great examples if you go up to the Power BI website where people have taken information from the internet. So, for example, the weather that we were talking about earlier, or the rainfall, or maybe it's the days of sun and how it impacts your business, how it works together, or you know, hospitality industry, you know, our number of tourists are coming, how does that impact your business? So a great way to see how things outside of your business actually do impact your business. So very interesting and informative, the different types of data that you can get. So I'm encouraging you all to get started on playing with it. It's great because the Power BI desktop is free, and you already have GP or another Dynamics product. You've got the ability to connect to that data source and build out those data visualizations. And there's lots and lots of great, fantastic information available on the internet off of the Power BI website. And we have some blogs as well about that. So I'm just going to go, I've got a couple of more slides to show you. We'll go through that, and then I'll open it up for questions. So there's, I guess I can open it up now. Now I just have to remember how to open up the lines for people to chat. Hi, Trevor. Can you tell me how I open this up for people to ask questions? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm technically challenged. I can't figure out how to turn the mute off so that you guys can all talk. If you have any questions, there is the question section on the navigation kind of area of the GoToWebinar. So if you have any questions, you can certainly type in your questions. And there is a question. I will read it out so that we can see. Wow, that screen is so tiny. When I drill down to some of the details of the individual visualizations in the dashboard, did you build those too? That's an excellent question. So if there is already a hierarchy, that already happens automatically. So for example, if in the database itself, so in this example where we were talking about GP, when I have a category or a class or a grouping, that's there automatically. But great question. I can certainly ask one of the fellows on our BI team about things that aren't in categories and groups and that already have hierarchies, and how we would do that. But I'd have to find out about that. But
view the data for any individual visualization. So if you have a visualization there, you can just go see data, and it will show you a table.
Okay. All right. So Trevor says yes. When I was right-clicking and doing the see data, it was taking me down to the next level of the table that would have all that data available that was made up that record, or those whatever the. For example, when I was looking at sales and I said show data, then it's going to break that down and show that. And I'm sorry, I had built out a report yesterday, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. It was for AR. I might go back and just quickly show it the AR, because I get a lot of people ask me, I want to print out an AR report in Excel, and the ones that come out of GP, I don't like it because they have page breaks and different things. And I thought, oh, this is awesome. But it also allowed you, from a customer perspective, then to right-click and then it'll break out and show all of the documents that made up that AR amount. So I thought that was very interesting. What is the best way to learn how to flatten data generating your data sets? So that's a question that's above my pay grade, but I can certainly take that away, Christopher, and find out for you and send you an email back. Okay, all right, well, I've got one more slide here. As I was saying earlier, there's so much information. There's great information available on the Power BI site or our blogs. I'm hoping that we're going to have more and more webinars around these great tools that are in Office 365. Hope we got a couple of more questions. Can you select more than one category in the drill down menu? Yes, you can. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't show that. There's a key control to be able to do that, and you absolutely can. So thank you for your question, Ivy. When dealing with sensitive data, for example, in healthcare or patient, etc., is there a way to set up and block the detail-related data from being viewed by the rater? Yes, in Power BI Premium and Pro there is, but not on the desktop. So for example, when I was doing Power BI desktop and I had a report, if I went and saved that and then I gave it to Trevor, and Trevor had Power BI desktop on his, he'd see all the data. But there is in the Premium and the Pro. Okay, another question. Have you heard about Alteryx tool? I think it's really cool. What's your view? I don't know that. Mohit, I haven't heard of that. I'm sorry, I can't refer to that. Are there password protections for Pro? Well, it's based on your Office 365 user. So again, that would dictate your rights and access, etc. But if I haven't answered your question, Francesca, please email me, or I can contact you afterwards. Yes, Colin, it does work as easy with Nav, absolutely. Seamlessly integrated with, actually, yeah, Trevor, I didn't want to say that, but yes, easier than GP. Great, okay, so Graznia, you had a question about if you're doing projects. So you've got companies that work on projects, so the P&L per project and margins, how can this be shown? Absolutely. So what we want to look at is the underlying data. So again, depending on what application you're using to run your projects, as long as it's capturing that information, then yes, you could go ahead and create those visualizations. So for example, I'll refer to Nav. So in Nav, the project part of it is called jobs. So yes, I would just go and pull out all the information from the jobs and be able to make profitability per job or per project for sure. Great question. Oh, great. Trevor's going to answer that.
I don't know if you guys can hear me. The difference between reports, dashboards, and apps. There are reports are what you create when you're in that kind of canvas view that Tracy showed you, and then dashboards are then almost collections of individual visualizations that can then be shared. So what you're looking at right now is a report, and then a dashboard is what you actually share out to people. So what you would do is add this report to a dashboard and then share the dashboard, or you could add individual visualizations to the dashboard and then share the dashboard. So quick and dirty classification, reports are what you create, dashboards are what you share. Apps, on the other hand, are collections of data sources, visualizations, everything, all kinds of preset groups of functionality, whether it's here's a data set, a bunch of reports, a few visualizations that I've consolidated, and then you can just have people access those kind of in like one click. So Tracy, actually, if you hit apps, you can see that that's one example of them. And if you were to hit Dynamics GP there, it would just give you instant access to all of the sort of things that, in this case, Justin had pre-configured for you. And then you can just say, share this app, and it's like sharing a collection of various data sets, reports, and dashboards.
There's limitations on records.
No.
No. Okay, so no limitations.
No limitations on records.
Map a little. Sure, I can show. Actually, I'm going to go back.
Map capabilities. So the map that Tracy has up there, town and border boundaries are not on this map, but there is a type of map visualization that includes like state boundaries and things like that. This one just has a circle for each.
I had access to that other one.
Yeah. And there is another one, but it's it would be a bit of an effort right now to show it off.
Okay, awesome, fantastic. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up right now, and I am looking forward to our next webinar on Power BI, where we'll go in, probably I'd love to build out a financial dashboard for Dynamics GP and kind of mimic off of one of the dashboards that comes pre-built in Dynamics GP from Excel refreshable reports, but showing you how much better it can be using Power BI and your GP data. So thank you very much for participating, and again, please reach out to those resources. Lots of great information, and keep checking back on our blog. Talk to you soon.